Professor. Corey Solly here. Thank you for the alternate assignment. I was sad to miss the live webinar. It would have been nice to participate in, but it just didn't work with my schedule, unfortunately. I have a lot going on right now. I'm getting ready to leave for Africa. I'm working on a global citizenship piece, which is really exciting. So I'll have to, stay in touch. But I did look at the questions and did answer the questions for the end of course webinar. The first one states, how has your understanding about professional development changed? And I would say it's changed immensely. I saw professional development as quite ineffective and kind of blah. It's just the experience that I've had, which is fairly limited. But now I realize that it really is an integral part of the education system, education at large, honestly. By providing these opportunities to teachers, we're providing them with continuing learning process and growth, which basically ends up providing our students with more relevant education and more active educational experience. By the learning that I did during this course, I realized how great the benefits are of quality professional development. I also learned the severe concern for low quality professional development and just sort of identifying what makes one and what makes the other. And then by establishing that, I can understand the differences much better. And then that's what sort of leads us, I guess, to designing something that is effective. I think it's based on engagement and relevance and interaction, with obviously plenty of follow-up as well. Before this course, I was more focused on student learning, and I understand that part of leadership in general is kind of moving away from that direct connection to a greater picture or larger picture, and professional development is my new way of creating effective student learning, which is exciting. Pardon my sniffles. The second question reads, throughout the course we've talked about possibilities and challenges. Can you tell us about how your PD plan addresses these possibilities and challenges? I tried to focus this professional development plan on the basic values and operations I find most effective in student learning. As I mentioned, an organization will never be what the founders are not, something that I've always just sort of fell back on. So whenever I create anything, I just really try to root it in student learning as the goal. One of the biggest challenges that I've seen in education is the whole silo mentality amongst educators. I worked at a lot of different schools, and I think that I have a fun experience in education because I get to see different cultures, and I'm traveling through lots of different schools often, and so I can kind of see that big picture. And one of the shortcomings that I would say is that whole silo mentality. There's just so much more, and I think my strength-based training, I've got connectedness in there, and I just think that maybe I can just see that if we all work together in a bigger plan, then things are just so much more effective. So I wrote, teachers and administrators often get so wrapped up in their own individual spaces that they fail to cross-collaborate and work together toward larger district goals. So I began my PD plan with team building experiences and trainings, and just really trying to integrate the people to work together. And I think it's often overlooked, but I think it's one of the most important components in creating a successful team of educators. It just sort of starts out the school year with breaking down those walls, those tiny little paper-thin walls on campus, and supporting that collective learning, collective impact. Together we can do so much. And then I thought another important section of my PD plan that addressed challenge was the Gallup strength-based training. I think that part of working together and that whole community base of education, and just all the different teachers working together, I think it's really important to provide them with this individualized training. And actually one of my schools just invited me to do the strength-based training, and although I've done it with my staff. I'm going to do it again with this specific school so that I can understand this specific group better. So I just think that the SPI training helps you learn yourself more deeply, and then it teaches you how to learn your team, and then just sort of how to play into people's strengths when working as a team. So I thought that was really neat. I'm a large advocate for interpersonal skill development, and I think it's essential in establishing a strong foundation for effective school years. The emotional intelligence that goes with that allows the teachers to understand themselves, their peers, and then it also sends them back into the classroom and helps them learn and identify dynamic personalities that they may encounter amongst the students. The next question says, you're interviewing for a new leadership position, and they mentioned professional development as part of the job. What questions do you have for them? In a new leadership position, I would definitely need the interviewer to further explain their definition of professional development, because clearly it's completely different, and it goes from low quality to high quality, and it's just all over the place. So I think definitely that would be the beginning of a long conversation. The first thing I'd want to know is how much the employees enjoy the experiences. What format of PD do the employees experience? And then do they provide experiences, hands-on learning, follow-up, procedures? Do these PDs directly connect with specific goals of the organization? Has to make sense for people to actually engage in it. So I would like to see sort of the format and that whole process of it. I'd also want to know how it's measured, the impact is measured. Are these PDs effective in reaching the goals that they've set forth? How do you know that? Is there measurable data to support that learning is going on during these professional development meetings? And lastly, I'd like to know what the follow-up procedure looks like that's currently in place, and how we can support and grow that piece just to provide most effective evaluation. What's your advice for how to better assess the impact of professional development on student achievement? I don't have a fantastic answer for that. The best advice for assessments, I thought, was just to measure the impact it has on student learning. If there's specific goals and then a PD plan that follows those goals, how can we measure that those goals have reached the kids? Obviously that's part of that follow-up piece. I wrote, we can begin to impact teachers of professional development by creating more innovative approaches and hands-on learning experiences for them. One fun way to assess may be to create innovative projects that integrate the new knowledge of these PDs into a creative display of some sort. Project-based learning has been shown to be an effective learning style that increases retention and improves attitudes toward learning. So, I mean, it's just not reinventing the wheel. Whatever works for students, I think, really can work with teachers, and especially with adults that are working with students. You know, we've kind of got to get on that level, I think, as educators, and create those fun experiences and get the teachers excited about being there. I just recently did a assembly at one of my schools, and we did these. Yeah, the content was really long, but we really wanted to create interactions with the teachers, and we brought the teachers up, and they did these silly little things, and that got the whole place just roaring with laughter. And once you've got them there, then you can take them anywhere, basically. So I'm excited about everything that I've learned. This whole program in general was a little bit I didn't know how well it was going to fit, since I'm not really only an educator and I don't teach, you know, on the daily basis, but I'm kind of running a business and inside of education. But it has just, every single class has really, really taught me an immeasurable amount about what I do, what I love to do, what I can do better, and how we can help grow the larger picture of education and make sure that our students are successful. So thank you for this course, and thank you also for your patience while I had to go through some pretty severe personal issues. I thank you for that. Hopefully that sort of answers those questions. And I'd like to stay connected. Like I said, this piece that I'm doing right now, I'm trying to tie entrepreneurship with like a humanitarian cause, basically. So in the fall, I'm going to be creating a program that teaches students to start with a global issue that they want to support, and then how can we tackle that from an entrepreneurship standpoint. So like we may fundraise for this Africa trip is going to be sort of a model of it. So it'll be using two different organizations, Real World Scholars, I don't know if you know them, in San Diego, and then Kids for Peace too. So that's what I'm going to Africa with. But anyway, I could talk for hours and hours about this stuff. So I'd like to just stay connected if at all possible. And that's all. Okay, thank you.